Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So we are joined today with Phil and Tash, who are a couple of subscribers and have some really interesting stories to tell us. Phil is ex-military and he's got some tales to tell us. So stay tuned, etc. Yeah. So Phil, welcome to Luna.
Oh, thank you very much.
Welcome to our channel.
No, thanks for inviting us.
So
Well, it's our pleasure because you have some we have really good conversations, don't we? About well, Pat, come here. Come here.
come here.
Come on then. Everyone knows you want to get involved as well. Yeah, so do you just want to give us a little bit of background about your military and
Yeah, I mean,
I
I joined just after school in '86. I joined an infantry regiment. I wasn't clever enough to do anything technical. Well, I got an O level, but it was in art, and I don't think they were interested in paintings when I joined the army. So I joined the infantry in Kent, joined the Queen's Regiment. I did my pass out parade. Most people had 2 weeks leave. I had a long weekend and went straight to West Belfast, which was quite interesting at the time. There was a lot going on in Northern Ireland. Did that tour. We lost one guy there. It was when there was all the troubles with the guy in the graveyard throwing the grenades and all that. So that kicked off, and that was a very busy tour.
Well, just do dog.
move there and get him up there. Everyone's used to it. Causing a drama, aren't you, babe?
The asshole.
Don't be messing about though. Wanting to go back down. Squeeze it.
Wait for wind chimes to settle down.
So I'd only been there like a couple of weeks, and then there was an explosion, and we put a cordon in because we were the first ones there. And there was a guy, an ammunition expert, turned up. And he said, "Oh, I've heard there's a secondary device. Can you walk me to where I think the device is?" Cut long story short, he came out in plastic bags. He stepped on a secondary device. So within a few weeks of being in my unit, straight after training, that's the sort of thing that happened to me.
And you were young as well.
Yeah, and then I think ever since then my brain's been overactive, and I eventually did 30 years. A lot of it was teaching near the end. I was teaching heavy weapons at Salisbury Plain at the infantry school, Land Warfare Centre it was called. And then I got medically discharged at 30 years. And I did struggle. I met Tash when I left the army, and she sort of looks after me now because I did self-medicate when I left. I was up to 5 bottles of wine a night, and there was no help for the military, and I don't think there still is proper help for the military with mental health, and they leave. I ended up residential, doing 8 weeks in total at what they call combat stress, just down the road from here in Leatherhead. And they did lots of us tried to fix me basically, and they identified 13 traumas and said they can only fix one, and they made quite a few people worse for going down there. So the government really needs to pull its finger out. I don't know what
highlights the problems rather than fix it.
Yeah, I don't think Starmer's a fan of the military. He wants to reverse the Northern Ireland Agreement, where you the IRA got let off with everything, and so did the military. But he wants the military to be done for things now, and not the IRA. So we're being hung out again to dry. But yeah, so that's my 30 years in a very short period of time explained. But that's it.
So in your 30 years of being in the military, have you seen any odd, strange things?
Well, I'll say things I can't explain. One of them was when I was at Warminster, near Salisbury Plain. I was teaching officers how to control mortars and stuff like that. So near the end of the course, we have a big live firing exercise on Salisbury Plain. But at this time of year, it was the summer solstice, and all the hippies were walking through the impact area. That's what it's called, where you throw all the kit into. all the ammunition and explosives. And I'd rang him the day before, this civilian range warden, and said, can I come and clear the area with you, just make sure there's no hippies? And he said, yeah, but make it sort of half past half past 4ish, because it's getting light. I said, yeah, the guys will be walking round and they'll be on the other side of the area, and they'll meet us about 6-7 o'clock in the morning. He said, that's perfect. So I rocked up in my Land Rover the next morning, and there was like what we call a range hut and a barrier, and that was to stop people that shouldn't be going in. And I stopped at the range hut. He said, oh, where are you having your like emergency telephone? I said, oh, at the bunker, the concrete bunker down the bottom. I'll just plug it into there. If there's any problems, I can go straight to range control and they can stop everything. For example, if an aircraft comes into the area. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. So we left his range hut, and as we went up onto the high ground to look down on where our bunker was, we got to the high ground, and all of a sudden we looked at the bunker and there was a black triangle above it. And you've heard of all the black triangle stories, but this was like 97, 98. But my brain didn't register because it's an aircraft, and it wasn't making a noise, and it wasn't moving. It was just there, hovering like that above the bunker. And then all of a sudden it was like literally like War of the Worlds. This light went whap, whap, whap. It was probably about 3 or 4 seconds, and it went up on its apex and just shot straight up into the sky. Wow. And then we sort of looked at each other and sort of shook our heads. You know, like you get antelope when it thinks the lion's and it goes like that. We sort of went like, and then we went down to the bunker and got my binocular. Yeah, it's all clear. And we started walking back. And he went, Phil. I went, yeah. He said, did we see that? I went, yeah. And that was it. And then we had the same exercise about 2-3 months later. And I turned up again, and this time when I turned up, he had all these UFO books and that magazines. So yeah, so we had a chat about that. And then I think the same exercise, we had a what we call a defence shoot. So what we were going to do, we were going to throw illumination up into the air from the mortars. Let's say that there's 6 mortar barrels, 3 would fire the illumination, and 3 would fire the high explosive. So you can see where the rounds land, and you can adjust them because there's light. So we were waiting for it to get dark. We'd done the daytime bit, and there must have been about 60, 70 of us all there eating our stew that had turned up. And then all of a sudden it looked like a flare to begin with, and it came across, and we're all looking up in the sky, and it started doing all these weird movements and everything. And it's nothing that we could control like that, because you'd be all over the place, gravity and all that, and the speed that it was doing, it was so bizarre. And that was, loads of us saw that, and that just shot up in the sky. So I thought, we can't be having aircraft coming in because we're throwing high trajectory explosives up into the air. So I got on that phone, like I explained earlier in the earlier incident. I got through to range control and I said, is there any aircraft or anything coming into the area? He said, I'll get back to you. And the phone went a few minutes later. He said, no one's allowed. There's no one's got any experiments going on. No, it's just you out there. And that was quite bizarre.
They do say that there's a lot more UFO sightings above Greenland, and if but there's wars going on, especially by where there's nuclear warheads.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, a lot of people then start reporting it, and it's almost as if they're trying to disarm us from destroying our world, really.
Yeah, and then there's that. Was it Rendlesham Forest with the American base where they had the lights come into the wood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they tried to say it was a lighthouse miles away, tried to rubbish it. But I remember when I said I was teaching officers, and I used to smoke when I was teaching back then. And we were having a smoke break, and I had an RAF officer that I was teaching, and I was telling the story about the Black Triangle to the other guys, and he said, "Oh, I'll tell you a story when we finish the course and we go out for a drink." He said, "I don't want to tell you now. You think I'm mad and kick me off the course." So anyway, we had the end of the course. We called it piss up. End of course, piss up, and we were down the town. And he said, "Oh, I'll tell you about it now." And he reckons he used to look after a bloke in the equivalent of, like, it was called S4, I think. It's like the equivalent of X-Files over
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And he said he looked after the officer that was in charge of that. And he said one day he got a phone call and they said they were going on a plane somewhere to America, and they went to America, and he said they landed and then they got in a car and they drove for miles to the desert, and he said in the middle of the desert was a jetty, you know, like you get like a pier at the beach, but there was nothing there. It was just sand for miles, and there were steps going up, and there was a few other cars turned up, and again they were waiting for it to get dark, and they said right up the steps, and went up the steps, went in this jetty, and it was like a viewing area at the end. And he said that as it got dark again, remember what I said about that light?
Yeah.
He said this light come into the area and it was doing all these manoeuvres and everything, and no one was speaking to each other. I think he said there was like 6, 7 of them or something. And a few people were taking notes, and he said one bloke went, "What on earth is that?" And another guy went, "Exactly, it's not from here." And that's quite scary.
Yeah.
You know, what do you mean it's not from here?
Yeah.
He said it's not from here.
You just said that we touched upon like that. The X-Files have got their own, like in America, they've got their own little
Area 51
investigation
and
thing.
all
Yeah,
that.
and if we got something like that,
Well, that's what that.
we don't know.
Yeah,
about?
that's what that S4 is. It's equivalent to the X-Files.
Okay.
And you can go onto YouTube. There's a guy called Nick Pope who was involved with it. And if you type in Nick Pope on YouTube, he'll go through all the UFO investigations that he did. And it is basically like the Project Blue Book is what it was in America.
Right, yeah.
And Project Blue Book was to go around and go, "Oh, what did you see?" "Oh, I saw this big disc and like the big light come out of it." "Oh, yeah, that was a hailstorm with some lightning." "Oh, was it?" Yeah. "Okay, we happy with that?"
Yeah.
"Oh, it must have been that." Yeah. Or they sent people around in black suits and stuff.
Yeah.
"What did you see?" "Well, I saw this black triangle." "Shut up, you didn't see nothing."
Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black.
Memory blocked.
Going on to Men in Black, I didn't actually get involved with this, but I was on the camp at the time. But I didn't know what was happening until I bought a book about UFOs in W.H. Smith, and I started reading, and it was an incident that happened when I was based at that camp in Warminster. It's called Land Warfare Centre, and the regiment I was there was called the Royal Anglian Regiment. Now this is what I'm reading. And these two guys were on a CARDA, a course called Regular Radio Users CARDA. And back then we used to have a sheet that you have to decode when someone sent you a message. It's called bat code. It's like a secret code. And they left camp and they were given a grid because they decoded it, and they're testing their radios and everything. And it said, they decoded it, it said that's for example, go to grid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they were like, "Oh yeah, come on, let's go there. We know where the next one is." So he walked to the next one, and there was a big hill about a mile away from camp. And they saw a white card with a trip flare picket, and the card was on there in a bit of waterproof bag, and they thought, right, that's the next bit. So they went there, "Oh yeah, Batco, might get it out and start decoding it." And they said all of a sudden there was like a black cloud over them, and it was a really sunny day. And they said they looked at each other, looked up, and guess what was above them? Black triangle. So they were like, "Oh my God." And it went up, shot up in the sky. So they stopped what they were doing, run back to camp, and we've just seen like this triangle thing and that. And they went to the guard room to report it, and the guard room officer said, "Oh, I'll make a few phone calls. That's a bit strange." Anyway, they went back to their accommodation, and then that evening, black car turned up. 2 guys got out, like Men in Black, suits and that, briefcases, and they said, "Oh, can we speak to these 2 guys?" So these 2 guys were collected, taken to the guard room, and in the guard room there was prison cells for naughty boys. You know, fighting down the town and that. And they said, "Oh, can we use the prison cells for interviews?" "Yeah, no problem." So one guy went with one guy in a black suit, the other guy went with another guy in a black suit, and they started asking them questions. I mean, and this is in the book because they're being interviewed and they've said what happened in the interview. And one of the Men in Black, "What did you see?" "You didn't see that." "What do you mean didn't see that?" "I think you've gone a bit. You didn't see that, did you?" And then at the end of the story that they had in that book, they both got medically discharged for being a bit.
Really?
Yeah, so they kicked them out.
Yeah.
So they were told to keep
do a
quiet.
good cover up,
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
wrong with you, and they got medically discharged.
Mm.
Do you think they will eventually tell us the truth? Because we all know what's going on. We all know that they're here and there is another life, human, humanoids.
And
whatever
there's
you wanna
lots in
call them.
America, people coming out and saying
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
isn't
Do you
there?
think?
That's
I think
if it-
they're starting to release little bits, aren't
That's
they?
if
So do you
that's if
think-
it's aliens. I mean, one of my theories is it
Mine's
could be
theirs,
us
yeah,
in the
we feel
future
same on that,
coming
yeah.
back.
Yeah, I've always thought
Um,
that as well.
You've got to look at the technology that was around thousands of years before before Christ.
Yeah.
Well,
we see that, don't we?
Yeah.
On hieroglyphs and we've got the Sumerians and all that.
The Sumerians with
the
Anunnaki and the Sumerians with the pictures of their bag, and some of them even look like laptops, watches. Yeah. So
lots of flying things as well, isn't there?
I think if you look back in history, thousands of years, I think it's been documented, and we're not looking properly.
Yeah, because they drew what they saw, didn't they? Our ancestors.
Yeah.
They just drew what they saw, and there's just too much. Like the ancient archaeology, ancient alien archaeology stuff is really fascinating. And the more you delve into that, the more you do realise that they were here at the beginning, and we are part of them.
I don't think they could explain what UFOs were, so they called them things like fallen angels and stuff like that.
Wasn't it?
Gods,
gods. So,
Is Ezekiel in the Bible?
Pardon?
Ezekiel, was it?
Yeah,
that's it. Where he disappeared and had a look in the heavens for a while, and then came back again.
Yeah, exactly.
And went up a ladder.
Yeah, I can't remember this guy's name. I don't know if you can remember him. The Christian guy. He's very Christian, and but he also believes in aliens, and he talks that he communicates with them. And now people are dissecting the Bible, and the more they dissect it, the more they realise actually it is more about aliens coming down, and we're portraying them as gods. And like you said, I believe that some of them are us from the future.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But going back to, are they trying to tell us bit by bit, expose us to it? If you look at The Simpsons, for example, some of the stuff in there.
Scary.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
It's like they predicted the future when they made the series at the time. Like with the Twin Towers in the background with a plane going into it years
and COVID,
before it.
Apparently, wasn't it?
COVID as well.
COVID and Trump and
lots
of things, isn't there?
Is that a time traveller who's come?
We don't know,
No, it's very...
So some people know, because there's many films, isn't there, as well, which give like snippets of this is going to happen. How do you react when this happens? Because now you know. Yeah,
and at the time, if it's a new film, you kind of just take it as a film. But if you rewatch it 10 years, 20 years later...
That happened.
Yeah. You're like, bloody hell. But we know that they're feeding us little bit by little bit.
Well, right back to the... must have been late 60s, 70s when Star Trek first came out and all that, and Flash Gordon. And they're talking to something on their wrist, and we thought, that's a load of rubbish. What are they doing? And look, hello, we're doing it now.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, with the aircrafts that you saw, the black triangles, how big did you say they were? Were they like really
about the size of a long wheelbase fan, I suppose.
So they're quite small craft.
Yeah, it was quite. It wasn't like massive.
The little ones that come out of the big mothership, and then they come down to check.
Yeah, I don't know what. It didn't hang around long enough.
Yeah, you know that cylinder that's actually been up there for thousands of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe that's like their little spaceship.
Like a Tic Tac. They call it Tic Tacs.
Tic Tac.
Yeah, but this thing, I don't understand how it could do that, because if you were inside, I don't know, I suppose you'd be like that.
Yeah.
It was bizarre movements. Let's just put it that way.
Well, all the ancient cultures across the globe, like the Mayans and the Egyptians and in Peru and all that, they've got the same symbol of what looks like an astronaut, don't they?
Yeah.
In some sort of machine.
Yeah.
And they've all got the same.
It's like the heads at Easter Island. Now they've dug down a bit. Yeah. Their hands are like this.
Yeah.
And they're realising now that if all these statues, although even the Sumerian carvings in the walls and stuff, they're all like that, but they never spoke to each other. So what does this mean?
Yeah. Some ancient
yeah.
Which leads me on to like you're on Facebook, so I see some of the stuff you post about Freemasonry and stuff. Are you allowed to talk about that? Can you talk about that? What got you into it?
Yeah, I was at that Land Warfare Centre at the time in 2002, and I was doing trials and developments, and there was a fairly old sergeant major. I think he just hung on in the military, and they kept on extending him. So he was, I'd say, he was in his 50s. He came to my office one day and said, "Oh, you do lectures and stuff quite well. I think you might enjoy doing Freemasonry because you eventually you can stand up and talk and stuff." And he said, I'm going to see you like talking." So yeah, I agreed, and we had an interview, and it was a bit strange. I turned up at the lodge in Warminster, and the door opened, and it's probably one of the longest walks I've ever done. It was short, but it felt a long time, and there was a number of people at the table, and they started interviewing me, if you like, asking me some questions, which leads me to what is it? Well, you can find this out on Google, or even people that have had the interviews and haven't joined Freemason. They say one of the first questions is, do you believe in a superior being? So people say, is Freemasonry religious? If I think back to that interview, well, what is a superior being? But you find out that Freemasonry is for Hindus, Muslims, Christians, you name it. There's all walks of life in Freemasonry. So there are secrets, but it's a society with secrets, not a secret society. So people know what we do, but we just keep quiet about the way that we communicate with symbols, signs, words, if you like. So that's how we communicate. But it's a series of plays, if you like. It's all written down in a big book, or a little book, because you can't take big books with you to learn. And every now and then I'll be on a journey and I'll see someone with a little blue book, and they're reading that, and I think, oh, he's learning something. He's a Freemason, and you just learn bits at the beginning that are small, and then after a few years you've probably done a bit more, and eventually you're reading out 15-20 pages word for word. There are, you've probably heard it, stop giving me the third degree. There are 3 degrees in Freemasonry, so you turn up and you're an entered apprentice. And then you're told a few things, but they're not going to tell you everything, because you've got to come back another night and do what's called fellowcraft, which is 2nd degree. And then they'll teach you a little bit more about the story, and I'll come on to the story in a minute. And then eventually you will be raised to the sublime degree, they call it, of a master mason. So you are now a master mason, and you know how to communicate with the fellowcraft and the entered apprentice. The entered apprentice can have his own handshake and word to another entered apprentice, but he won't know the password or anything above him for the next level. So that's what you've got to look forward to. And then once you've become a master mason, you can start taking offices in the lodge, and there's different bits that you progress through, and the more you progress, the more you learn, and eventually you end up in a big chair in the temple, and you're the guy representing King Solomon, because it's all about King Solomon's temple and what went on, and the architect and the people that built stuff in or built the temple. So it starts with the entered apprentice. He turns up. Oh, you're not going right into the temple because there's stuff in there that you can't see. So we need to get to know you, need to train you a little bit more. And when you've done your little apprenticeship, we'll make you a fellowcraft, so that you can move a bit closer to the middle of the temple. And it's all about moving closer and closer to the like holy of holies, if you like, in the middle of the temple.
So how old is Freemasonry? How far back?
Thousands of years. So there's a different calendar. So it's slightly out of sync to the calendar we've got now, because Freemasonry is before Jesus, and all time really calendars start from Jesus' death. AD, BC. So it's thousands years
So
before.
who was King Solomon?
He was pre-Jesus. He was the one that decided that we should build a temple for one God.
Right.
They say, and he had the Ark of the Covenant in there.
Okay. Right.
And we know about the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
We don't know where it is anymore. Someone might, but I don't.
I was going to say, do you
Yeah.
think
Next level.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, do you think the Freemasons have a lot of the artifacts from? Maybe they have got it, and then you have the spear that killed Jesus as well, the spearhead.
Oh yeah.
Have they got that as well? Because if they got manuscripts that go
I don't know.
back and
That's
all
probably
that.
more Vatican type level. I think it's well known that the Vatican have got artifacts that they're keeping to themselves. Yeah, the Holy Lance, not sure. I know Hitler was obsessed with artifacts. He was an occultist, and I think if he thought if he had really old artifacts that meant a lot, like the Holy Grail and all that sort of stuff, it would give him more power. And I know for a fact, because I've been there and I've seen the museum, a place in Germany where the white-haired, blue-eyed race was. He used to shine the five-pointed star above them, but with lights and stuff, because he thought it would give him more power, control them more, that sort of stuff. But are there artifacts there? I've not seen anything in Freemasonry. I'm probably not that level. There's Grand Lodge in London, what we call Grand Lodge. It's the big temple where everyone is controlled from. You can go in there. There are artifacts in there, but modern Freemasonry was started in the 1700s, and before that, we had what was called ancient Freemasonry. And in the 1700s, they decided that people wanted different ceremonies to amalgamate with the old ceremonies and stuff, and the ancient and moderns came together. So really, the Freemasonry that we know started in the 1700s. Artifacts, don't know anything about, to be honest. But there are different levels of Freemasonry. So what I explained was the 3 levels, what we call crafts: entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. You can progress quite high in craft Freemasonry. You can become a provincial Grand Master. So you're like the equivalent of a high up area manager. So you, for example, Hampshire and Isle of Wight, you have a provincial Grand Master that looks after all the lodges there, and he's got assistant provincial Grand Masters that look after areas within the Hampshire and Isle of Wight. So that's craft Freemasonry. But when you've done your Master Mason, someone could approach you that night even and say, oh, did you know there's a bit more? And then you go to another level, if you like, different regalia, another story. So they'll say, you'll turn up for that ceremony as an entered apprentice, if you like, and they'll go, right, back then you were told this, we're going to tell you a little bit more. And then once you've done that, someone else will go, right, now you've done that, you can join this order. And it all comes in, and
so
you start.
You guys don't know actually how many levels there is. You just do one, and then
there are lots of levels, but a lot of them are parallel. So you could have one that goes off on a Christian belief within Freemasonry, or you could have one that goes off like an Egyptian belief or something like that. So that's the different levels.
What level are you at?
I'm in a Christian one at the moment called Masonic and Military Order of the Red Cross of Constantine and St John the Evangelist. So,
easy to remember then.
So that goes off on that Christian belief within Freemasonry, and it's really lovely little order. It's quite small, and I do a lot of visits of that. I sort of go with the boss everywhere of our area, and I'll go in with him. We'll do something, and I come out, and we always have a meal afterwards, and it's very friendly, lovely little order, and that's probably one of my favourites. But there are. That's where I am.
I can't remember it though.
I can't remember it. So, how does the Christianity side of Freemasonry work with the belief of aliens and UFOs?
Well, I haven't seen anything like that yet. There are some bits of ritual where you think, oh, that's a bit strange. But for example, in the Red Cross Constantine one that I said about earlier, it's all about an image that Constantine saw in the sky above a mountain on the way to Rome for a battle, and that turned the Romans to the Roman Catholic religion.
Right.
Because of what he saw, because it helped him in battle, because he put the sign of Christ on his shields and stuff. But I watched a documentary the other day about where he saw that sign in the sky. There have been sightings of UFOs there ever since then.
Yeah.
Strange things in the sky. And I thought about that, and I thought, I wonder what he actually saw.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's an example.
Yeah.
But they don't go, Freemasonry is about aliens or anything like that, because it is.
Well, no,
from what I've seen, it's not.
What I know about the Bible and everything myself is like Christians don't believe in there's aliens. It's just produced from God, and there's nothing like that out there. So I just wondered, because you've seen it and stuff, how it sort of.
Well, don't forget the Rome over the last few years have actually said we think there's something out there. Now, when they say we think there's something out there, the Vatican, So, what are they going to start saying things like we were put here rather than come out the sea or whatever? I mean, evolution. I don't really believe in evolution. If we came from monkeys, why are monkeys still here?
Exactly.
That's what we said the other day, wasn't it? We had that really same conversation.
Yeah. I mean, if they couldn't survive and we had to evolve, they're still here. Fish are still here.
It should have evolved into man, but it's still not.
Yeah.
Apparently we're from the chimpanzee. Yeah, and I said chimpanzee. So really, that chimpanzee should have evolved. We still have other monkeys.
Yeah.
But the chimpanzee shouldn't be here, right?
Yeah, but that's what we're taught at school.
Yeah,
so
I know we're taught all that. But
yeah, but
I just love the fact that
just because you're taught it at school, does it make it real?
Yeah.
It's
weird.
Yeah, it is
like
weird.
I love archaeology, and I studied archaeology at uni and everything. So then I never used to believe in aliens and stuff. I just there might be life, but it might be microscopic or something on another planet. And then when I started getting more into that archaeology and then the ancient side of archaeology, then I could see the symbols and I could put the two together, and it was like it just blew my mind. And I was like, yeah, we were put here. We are part of. They're probably family, to be fair. And then I started thinking, I know one day we're going to occupy Mars, and apparently the atmosphere. I used to read that New Scientist magazine a lot, and they said that if the first person to be born on Mars would probably be a lot taller than if you were born there, because the atmosphere. So I can't remember. And then I started thinking, so if we're taller, and then we're going to be a lot skinnier, and then you've got this thing that we're going through now, where eventually there'll be no sex gender, right? And that's what aliens are, which then made me think, oh my God, that's us from the future. And they just come back and they give us messages, and like people can communicate, or they believe they're communicating with a higher being, which is part of like the Lemurians, or what was the one we was watching? They're actually like not grasshoppers, the praying mantis. And so they go in this image because apparently we can't cope with their true image. So they'll give us an image of what they look like reptilians.
Reptilians,
so that we sort of like aren't scared.
Well, we can relate to.
We can relate to it. So our brains don't go like that. So there's people out there that think they have these conversations with them, and then they're downloaded with information, and it's really, really interesting. We're really getting into that lately, haven't we?
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Like the Anunnaki and stuff.
Oh, I've been into the Anunnaki for a long time now.
And the Nephilim, the giants.
Yeah, the giants, and
It's funny that you can see old black and white photographs from like 1910 or whatever, and they found the giant skull. So where is that skull? Someone took a photograph of it, they found it, they dug it up. Where's it hidden? And why hide it?
And there's quite a few of those giant skeletons been found.
There is,
But if you go back into right back into history, when trees were huge, mushrooms were really huge. We had massive lizards, birds, dinosaurs as we call them. So there would have been a giant human being. There had to be.
And the theory is them giants weren't born here either.
No, because didn't the fallen angels apparently come down, mated with the human women, and then they produce the giants.
Yeah.
Which, Jesus, can you imagine giving birth to one of them?
Yeah. And the giants were there to keep slaves in order.
Yeah.
And we were the slaves.
Yeah.
We were
right.
produced by the Anunnaki.
Yeah, because didn't they mix our DNA with theirs?
Yeah, and if you look at
to get their gold, our gold.
That was our gold was supposed to go back to be put into their atmosphere as dust.
Yeah.
Because their atmosphere was destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
So they mined the gold here, took it back.
Yeah, I
so
didn't
that
know it was
Nibiru
for
planet,
that,
Planet X, I think we call it.
Yeah. That's the one which is just
now,
on the outside.
you said there's proof that it's actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely more to us than.
Yeah, they call it the 10th planet or planet.
Yeah.
No, Planet 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like we were talking, we've all got this ability, haven't we, to be psychic and telepathically and gut instincts and predict things. I think
intuitions
all
and all
that.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about ghosts, I remember when I was at the Land Warfare Centre in Warminster, I had my meal in the sergeant's mess, went back to my room, had a shower and everything, and come back to the bar, and the bar was just been opened. And the lady there was opening up the shutters to open the bar. And she opened the shutters and I was stood there, and she said to me, "Oh, do you want your usual?" I said, "Yes, please." And this guy walked round the back of me to the bar and just stood there like you are now. Not like hollow, floating, head underneath the arm, anything like that, or coming in on like a ghostly horse. And she said, "Oh, what would you like?" Because we didn't recognise him. And he just stood there like you are now and just went, gone, disappeared.
Crazy.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
and then she shut the shutters and we didn't see her for 2 nights. It scared her. She wouldn't come back in.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me after 3 Guinnesses.
You see dead people.
Yeah, we've seen dead people. It's like a Bruce Willis film. Yeah, I've seen a fair few things which I've discussed before. So there's stuff out there, all unknown, that we're not aware of or we feel. When you're walking down somewhere and the hairs go up on your neck, it's something off balance.
Yeah, but one of the theories from that guy who invented the satellite, Arthur C. Clarke, was that a room has got a memory, like a wet film camera, with the old ones with the shutter blueprint. But this was like you are now. It wasn't like an image or anything. It's a bit bizarre.
Well, I believe in the string theory. So you've got, I think it's 11 strings, and it's they're not like a line. I think they're like quite warped, if I remember rightly. And they're different dimensions. And what happens is we just bump into that dimension. You then get a glimpse of what was going on in that dimension. And of course, we all know that there's many of us on these different dimensions living out different lifestyles. So when we think we saw somebody that we've loved that's passed over, actually or not, you've just bumped into that dimension, and you've got a quick glimpse of that. So I've always sort of swayed towards that, but because I haven't seen anything that I would say like a ghost. But I've had.
You might have, but you didn't realise it.
Right, like you said, it was solid, and you didn't know. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? It's very fascinating. I've always been into it, and we absorb it on YouTube all the time. So let's watch this. Yeah, I absolutely find the whole subject fascinating.
A lot of people need to slow down a bit, and then they might start to sense a lot of what we have. We're all able to.
Yeah. I think it's just been taken out of us, and it's been beaten out of us. And I think we are all spiritual beings having a human existence, and that's why some of us. And I think there's a massive spiritual awakening right now, which happened during COVID. And I think a lot of people, like you said, they slowed down a bit. They went within. They started to listen to themselves a little bit more, and they've just started to become more in tune with who they are and connect more with nature, because we are part of that. We're all one unit. We can't function without the other, whether it's a bee, ant, or a plant. We can't do it. We all become non-existent.
That's not going very well for the world governments, though, is it? Because you're starting to think for yourself.
Then they don't want that.
And they brainwash you, don't they? So.
But it's like the Men in Black thing with, like, when you're young, you see something, you go, "Oh, I've seen a ghost." No, you didn't.
Yeah.
And you go, "Okay, go back to sleep. It was just a dream."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all. It's that same sort of. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So you kind of grow up believe, "Oh, ghosts aren't real. I was told." I'll put my tuff under a pillow, that's fine.
Yeah. And a man coming down the chimney taking loads of gifts.
Yeah.
I believe that, but yeah, you didn't see that. It's not real.
Yeah, I think over the next decade, if not sooner, we are going to be more in tune with what's going on, and I think we're going to see a lot more things that we all believe in.
Yeah.
Sod what the government tell us and other people are saying, oh, it's not real. I think we know what's going on. We've known for a long time what's been going on. And I think more and more of it's coming out, and the more we're becoming more spiritual aware and honing in on our gifts, you know, the more we can.
Because it's a massive percentage of our brain that we don't use.
Yes, exactly that.
And just thinking back to ancient Egypt and stuff like that, maybe they knew how to use it.
Yeah.
It's been done down over the years.
Yeah, exactly. Because each tribe, even in the Neolithic periods, each one had their elder or their priestess and your priest, isn't it? So they were the ones that were the medicine men and women. They were the ones you went to spiritually. It's just that we've had that beaten out of us now.
Yeah.
But more and more of us are coming together now, and there is going to be this massive spiritual awakening. And I think that is what all the alien aircrafts and the alien ancestors, they want us to be that. Because that's who we really are. Yeah. So I think they are going to intervene if it carries on the way the world governments are all playing it out. And I think, because they want us to hate each other, don't they?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about...
Don't talk to anyone else, because their knowledge will spread. We don't want them dumbed down. We want them dumbed down. Everyone stare at their phone and just do mind-numbing stuff. And keep them there.
Hating each other. They just want us to hate each other. Because we were going to do a talk on YouTube, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we just realised how toxic social media has become. Not just Vanlife, anything to do with Vanlife, just the whole complex, whatever YouTube is. And it's just, people are so mean. And we watched somebody, Ren, and he's going through a really hard time at the moment, because we can't go into it. It's all legalities, and somebody sold him some stolen music or something. And he said something yesterday that really hit home for us, and it was like, there's so much shit going on out there. They want us to hate each other. There's fighting going on. It's a horrible world
just
right
join
now.
together.
Let's stop fighting between ourselves. Let's stop leaving nasty messages. Let's stop this. Let's stop that. We as a human race should be coming together. It doesn't matter what religion you're into, what race you are. We as a unit should be coming together and standing up to these tyrants, because they just want to destroy us and enslave us.
Everybody's entitled to an opinion. However, how you put that across, I think that's the biggie for me. You know, I'll sit and listen to anybody's opinion. But just don't be nasty with it. You know, there's no need for people to
that's
call
what we
people
say.
names and all of this on social media because you don't agree. With
Also, if I've got a different opinion than you, don't lock me up for it.
It doesn't mean you're right, I'm wrong. I have my view, you have
it's
yours.
different. It's not right or wrong.
This is what I love about when you do have really deep conversations. Like, I've got what I think and I believe, and then I could come away from this conversation learning something from you.
I think you're all bloody mad.
Or I could disagree with something you've got to say, but then you'll tell me, you'll go deeper into it, and I go, do you know what, I didn't look at it like that. Thank you for that. And I've taken something away from that.
You know, it works both ways.
I just hate the way that we are at. I think TikTok's the worst, and I said
TikTok
to you,
is
so toxic.
feral.
I'm not on
feral,
TikTok.
right.
It's horrible.
I watch
not on
some
it.
funny videos on there, but I don't go any further into reading comments and
No, but they are really snipey.
And I can see YouTube is getting very much like it, and it's just like, you know, we're all entitled to our opinion. We should be able to voice our opinions, but let's stop being horrible to each other. You know, let's be kinder and help each other up. And if you see somebody down there, reach out for them, help them up. But it's not. It's kicking them in the face. Get down there. I'm here.
Stay there.
Stay there. We've got to stop it.
I totally,
because this is what they want us. Like I said,
we've seen things on other people's channels like, oh, I've seen your stuff, such a nonsense. Well, don't watch it.
Don't watch it.
It's like the old TV thing. Turn it over.
Yeah. I'm going to complain because I saw this on TV. Well, why did you watch it?
Yeah.
Your points of view.
There's many stuff we've sat down and watched, and we're like, oh no, and we just switch it off. I would never then leave a really horrible comment to that person.
I just ignore and not go there again.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't understand.
But then you see
it's
it this morning, because we're at the Van Festival, and you see some people on Facebook or whatever this morning going, "Oh, glad I didn't go with that rain." I was like, why? Why did you feel the need, that person, to then post something like that?
It's because we had that amazing storm in the night, wasn't it?
And hope you enjoyed yourself in that rain. I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah. So,
we had a great time.
Why did they? There's one thing not going, but then why feel the need? I must post this. You know, it's just like what?
Justify yourself not going.
Yeah. Weird people. It's a strange thing.
It's been a brilliant weekend.
Oh, it's been great.
People here. And actually, what we're talking about now, there's quite a lot of people here. That have similar
like-minded.
Yeah, because that's what you know
together.
Yeah.
And the ones that didn't come, well, maybe they shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the van life community, and I was talking to Mark last night about it, that I've never come across a community like it. It is amazing. Yeah, you get some little bad apples in the cart, like you said, maybe they should be in it. But I've never met a great bunch of people who want to help you and not get anything back from you.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And like we met you guys at the Drove, didn't we? Quite a while ago.
I
think I was being attacked by a raven.
I didn't want to go there.
But you saw Billy being attacked by a raven.
I'd been on it
There's things you wouldn't miss.
I might go down and stay at the Drove. And he's like, no, it's not safe. But no, he relented, and now we can't stay away.
But what I was saying was that you were like, oh, subscribers, we watch you, and then like now we're friends. And I actually love the fact that so many of our subscribers are really becoming real friends. It's less.
That's what it's about, our own little community of tribe.
They're not just
our
people.
souls.
That's why we call them Beautiful Soul Tribe, because you attract your tribe, don't you, throughout your life? You get different tribes throughout each stage of your life. But I've got to admit, this is an amazing community, and it's just sad to see that on YouTube, they're just not very nice.
Some people are just horrid, but they're keyboard warriors or whatever, sit at home, miserable in their life, and go, oh goodness.
Jealousy.
I think it's jealousy as well, and it's just, it's just like, why are you being so mean? You know,
it's unnecessary. It's totally unnecessary.
And I'm seeing it more. I saw a lot of meanness in COVID, to be fair, but I'm seeing it more since I've become a YouTuber myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched a lot of YouTube before then. I've been watching YouTube because I don't watch telly. I've been watching YouTube for years. But the more we're now into it, the more we just see.
But it's on every subject as well. So you can't go, oh, Vanlife, they're jealous because of that. I mean, we can watch anything about a conspiracy, anything about ancient worlds, history, news, everything, just going, don't believe in what you're saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's weird how everyone I've spoken to here over the weekend, it's ended up with, oh yeah, I think like that. Conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Open-mindedness. Don't close your mind.
No.
It's just because you've been told something, it doesn't mean it's right.
No, exactly. And I think that's why we all live the lifestyle we do, because we are those, I say, misfits of society. But a friend of ours said we're living on the edge of society. But then there's that thing is, don't watch the news, and stuff like that. But we watch the news sometimes. We don't watch the news, conventional news on telly. We'll watch things that are on YouTube, or somebody that watches it and he dissects it. Because
I'm not guilty of having the TV on and the news on constantly.
We used to do that for years.
But it's good to get a balance as well, though. Because if there's a big story, you think, okay, what's going on? And you kind of get that nice balance of your own opinion.
Make your own mind.
Because the problem is with like conspiracies, things are, is again, rabbit holes and whatever, wormholes. That you go, oh, this is a conspiracy I'm really into, and then suddenly you go right off into this really far sort of crazy town of, you know, and so you're even probably worse than the news because it's what they're feeding you. So you kind of somehow have to get a balance of what you think is going on.
Now and again, I'll say to you, should we see what they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes on? So we'll put the news on to see what it's kind of like a red flag. They're giving us this because they want to bring this in,
divert attention.
So we do often go, well, let's just see what they're up to.
I get a lot of it from YouTube anyway. I watch people, they analyse the news and give their opinions. And you think, do you know what? They're looking at it in a totally different way. And do you know what?
Yeah.
I believe what they're saying because it's more believable.
Yeah. Rumble's a good place to go to because a lot of people that did kind of give you the truth, they were kicked off during COVID because that's when free speech started to be taken away from us. And so now they go there. A lot of them are over on Rumble now. You won't find them on YouTube. Because we can be quite political, but we suppress so much because we know that we could be kicked off. So if we want to get deeper into that,
end up in Estonia.
Rumble's the place to
the new English prisons of Estonia.
Oh, yeah.
Estonia.
Well, yeah.
I haven't got a passport. How's that going to work?
Yeah, it's quite frightening, and unless we do something about it, I think we're just going to.
Yeah.
I think I'm more and more ignoring the news and stuff like that these days.
Yeah.
I just can't be doing with it.
Yeah.
I just want to get on with my life and do what I want to do. I know it sounds selfish.
Yeah,
it's not though.
totally.
But I just want to crack on, and if I can help somebody, fine. Not I just want to go around travelling and seeing lots of things that I haven't seen.
There's a lot out there.
I think the news also depresses you because you see all the sad things, like all the children starving, all the wars that is going on, and it gets to your core. It really upsets you. And I think the minute I switched the TV off, I went, I'm done. Switched it off, got rid of the TV license. I just became freer then. I wasn't so sort of angry. I was quite angry at the world, and my Facebook years ago, pre-COVID, was constantly political. And then once I got rid of that, I became, the spiritual side of me just blew out a bit more.
Because what's happening at the moment, it's happened throughout history. Everything's transactional.
Yeah.
So it's like what you're being told on the news is transactional because it's all about thoughts. So it's like me going to a shop.
Yeah.
You sell me something. I tap the card. That's a transaction.
Yeah.
Don't think any more about it. Walk off.
Yeah.
It needs to be transformational.
Yeah.
So that instead of a thought, it needs to be a feeling.
Yeah.
And that's how you change people.
Yeah.
Going through their heart, not their mind. And at the moment, it's all mind.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to leave the video there for this one, because we could be here for hours chatting.
We have really good convos.
So letting us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and all that malarkey. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much to Phil and Tash for joining us.
Thanks for inviting us.
And until next time,
safe travels.
see you next week.